I wanted to do something creative and different. I really feel like reading my cards for fun. I really want to keep the creative inspiration flowing, and I feel like if I make a blood family video right this second after just making one, like I need to give myself a second. And I already have a lot of material to go forward with again. I think that if I just take a nice break, I tend to get hard on myself if I don't just keep going and going, but I also end up staying up too late, and if I can balance this a little better, I think it will benefit everyone, especially me. Anyway, so I looked up 30 questions to ask the tarot, or I came across this in looking up tarot questions, and I found a really cool question, and I'm gonna take a look at that. And the question is, if they could pass a message to me, what would they say? And that's in regard to my father who passed away. And I think that looking at what he would have to say to me would be really cool. So as I'm just talking about that, I'm shuffling the different decks. I really don't have a standard way of looking at this, but we'll just kind of flow with it and see. So my father's name is David. I like saying was, because it still is. And I only knew him while I was little, and when I was little, I didn't talk much. I didn't express myself much. I didn't ask questions. I just observed. I really don't know why. I wasn't even able to, and I felt a lot, and I thought a lot, and I like to talk to myself if I was in private, because I know I was bought a voice recorder, and that was one of the coolest things ever, just recording, erasing, re-recording. It was so cool. And now that makes sense, and it's actually sweet. Like, I wasn't worthless, you know what I'm saying? I was so sure that I was. And that's just the truth. I hear this residual thing in my head. It's like, oh, don't be so hard on yourself, or, you should think better of yourself. Yeah, but if you can't acknowledge that you feel bad, then you're just making it worse, right? Like, I'm okay now. I'm okay to admit that I thought I was worthless. And you know what? It wasn't all about me. But you can't realize that until you realize that you're not worthless. That's what I think. So, I never really spoke much to my dad. He would ask, he'd ask me questions and I'd answer him. But I didn't initiate dialogue, I just went with the flow. I was there, and I was involved. I was paying attention very closely, but I just did not really communicate, unless I was asked to. And so I'm shuffling up all these cards real quick. I was a very quiet child, and that's really how we read the universe when we're younger, is by watching and listening, and that's what I did. Though, now I'm able to express myself more, and I didn't feel like I could express myself when I was a child. Not unless I was drawing or alone, because I didn't understand so much. So let's look at what my father would say to me if he could pass me any message today. What would it be? One thing it's really important to remember, and I'm feeling this right now, so I want to throw it in there, is that we have to embrace the moment that's happening as it's happening. I feel this pull right now, right? Like I need to make another blood family video. Like, I need to maybe brush my hair, organize some things, clean up toys. It's like I think that happens to everyone. It's like, I need to do this, I need to do that. But this is what I'm doing right now. you know. And then sometimes we get caught up in how much we're doing. Is it enough? Like this sounds ridiculous, I'm sure, but I tricked myself in that if I have things I've recorded on my voice recorder, then I feel this need, like I need to get it put onto the computer at least, and so I can clear off the voice recorder, and then I know it's empty. And sometimes you just gotta live and like let things add up a little and be a little messy, and you know what I mean? That's how I feel, and I think that maybe I'll take that advice and just see what happens. So, because then there's not a pressure like to keep getting it done until it's done, like, or else you start missing the fact that you're supposed to be having fun while you're doing it. So right now, there's nothing else I need to do. Yes, I'm really hungry though. I can't wait to eat something today. I'm simply seeing what my father would want to say to me right now, if he could say anything. And I just dropped a bunch of cards on the floor, and the card on the top of the deck is the universe or the world, that crowning achievement. And we'll see what cards fell on the ground, which they all flipped on the black and white side. So I'll just mention what they are. We got Ace of Swords. That's your thoughts, right? Answers. We have Seven of Pentacles, and this deck is home. It's the journey home. It's the path home. We have the Chariot driving forward, and we have the Six of Pentacles, which is giving and receiving, which can be going either direction. So I'm not saying that was the message, but I like to mention it because you never know. There may be a reflective time in my life where I come back and listen to these things. But I have to say, what if, if heaven is here and so I get to see my dad, what if I ever was married? Like, what if you can marry in heaven and make an eternal covenant with someone? Because I don't want to just be with everybody. I want to be with my one and only true one, and I want to know they're faithful. And I feel like in heaven, you're bound by that, and so it's true, and nobody, it's not like here where you can go cheat. You literally couldn't cheat there. I don't know. That sounds like heaven to me. But, I just imagine, like, if I ever got married, my real father giving me away, that would be really, like, unexpected. That would be a beautiful surprise. I don't know what's making me think of that, but that would be like, that's epic. That's fucking epic. And that would be, little Lauren would have never, ever thought that would be possible. So, here we go. One card from the tarot. What is the message that my father would give me right now? David, my beloved father, what message would he give me right now? Aww, that almost makes me feel like I'm gonna cry. Like, I got the Eight of Cups. Oh my God, it's so, like, I can't express this feeling. I think I might have chosen the wrong thing to ask right now, because I don't want to cry at this moment, but I literally hear messages from this card. It's the Eight of Cups. It's like this tree, and he's so sorry. He's so sorry that he became as nothing, disappeared into the expanse of the environment. I mean, if you imagine burying someone you love at a tree, right? And so the tree kind of, and the spirit of the one you love, the one that passed, becomes one. I can't even express this to you. It's like he's saying, I'm so sorry that I couldn't have been there, but I am still here in a different way. It's so heart-wrenching. I can't even tell you, like, that's what ruined my world. I couldn't discover the truth, My mom had this guy, they told me that my stepdad was my dad. I didn't know that David was my dad. I didn't know why I was with him until my dad showed me that I had been deceived. And the fact that I was allowed to believe that someone was my dad that wasn't felt like such betrayal. But I became determined that no matter what I did, I would give honor to my father. Which, yeah, I mean, he loved the beautiful women. And, you know, that can hurt if you feel like your loved one's not faithful to you. There's nothing that means more to me than that as well. But ultimately, true love is unconditional. And I know love is true. Just saying. And this is like the tree of life, though, right? So there's this feeling that he is with heaven. He's with them. He's part of the tree of life. But there's this, like, feeling, I'm so sorry. Everything we could have built, everything that it seemed could happen, all disappeared. And I think he's really sorry. And I think time does show everyone's true color eventually. I was true to my father. I don't think that everyone else was. I don't see anyone honoring his memory. I'm not saying they don't miss him or love him. But I know that I was number one in not forgetting him. And if I have a video where he kisses me on my cheek at the end. And the video has mildew on it and it's broken. I'd need a professional to try to save it. It's possible. But that feeling where I was with him and he truly loved me. He truly did. I know it. That's why there's those secret videos. He loved me. I know, and him having his other kids was just him finding his own happiness. But he's all I knew. Once I knew I had been lied to by the only other people I know, he was the only thing that was real to me anymore. But I was never with him. I was never with him. I was always with the others. And he went on and I went on, and then he was gone. I should have stayed with him. Somewhere in his heart he knew that. That's why he took me to Jamaica. And whatever happened there was magic. And it will never be forgotten. And I can't remember it and I can't say much about it, but I know it was magical. If I was eternal and I signed up for this, it was worth it because of the beautiful children, but I would never do this again. I didn't like that my father was so into beautiful women, but I know the mentalities of men and women is different, you know, the drive, and I just didn't understand, you know. I always felt unattractive and like this. I was just always a little girl, a little odd girl, with her hair cut like a boy because my stepdad kept it cut off. I didn't know how to be a beautiful woman, and that's what my dad loved. And that sounds weird, but That's something about him I couldn't understand till now that I'm older. And so I think that I can forgive him for that. I think it's, we have to let people be who they are and love what they love to an extent, especially when it comes to that. Like, you know, I just never understood, why don't I want to look at people that way? Why don't I want to see men like that? I don't, and I'm content. What's wrong with him that he's like that? And are other girls looking at men in that way? Like, I just constantly ask myself questions and couldn't figure it out. But there's a lot of judgment involved in that, and, you know, it's like a person's heart judges itself, because there is no heart without God. Which, that's pretty deep, and I can't quite fully tap into it. So I think he would tell me he's sorry that everything disappears, but yet there's something that remains, right? There's a tree, and I think probably because of that, it symbolizes that he saw I honored him and his spirit, because there is something that remains, a beautiful creation that grows and changes in its seasons. And the earth nurtures it, and it nurtures the earth. Is there anything else that I'm supposed to see in this card that I'm not seeing? I think what hurts him the most is that he was powerless, you know. Someone as him who was so strong, so, you know, he was a Capricorn, which technically it's when you were conceived and not when you were born. I can't calculate that in my head at the moment. Which, if I was October and then I'm January, then he's December. He'd be 2 months before January, which would be October, which would make him a Libra. I don't know. He was determined. Like, he took care of his business. He found a way to make a good living. I noticed that the card on the top of the deck is the Ace of Swords. And this is about the answer. This is about the information that draws you, clarity of mind, clarity of thinking. I really don't know why they put a moth kind of creature here. I mean, it could be a butterfly, but its tail looks like the tip of a pin. But I think it hurts him to have been such a strong, you know, person and then been powerless in this entire situation. And, you know, let's just be honest. There's betrayal, you know. They made a covenant of marriage and then broke it. And anyway, so let's get another tarot card to go with this. What else would my dad want me to know right now if he could send me a message? I think that the tarot images will provide me the best message for my dad. So if I want to grab a card after that, I can, but I don't think I'll need more explanation. These images are very sweet and for such a sensitive thing, but we'll see. What other message would my father, David, want to send me right now? If he could tell me anything. I got the Hanged Man. And this is interesting because we had just seen the moth, right? And the Ace of Swords. Here we have a fairy who's been pinned to someone's wall upside down. And so, even if that just implies waiting, you know, of some sort, she's been stabbed in the back and her hands are bound. And somehow her feet aren't falling above her head, so it's probably that her foot has actually been tacked into the wall as well. Which to me, very much, more than in any other deck that I've seen, symbolizes death. Like, I don't know what happened, but there's this feeling of that he was bound. Like he was literally binded, hands. He was stabbed in the back, bound, and turned away from everything. I think if I could tap into my dad's heart here, he's incredibly upset by the way this had to go. That he was stabbed in the back, bound, and unable to do anything, you know, like as you would see the dead here, right? They are powerless to do anything in this realm. And so 10, 11, 12. These numbers would equal 20, and 20 comes after the sun, I believe, is judgment. So this could be talking about him having to wait and being bound from doing anything about it until the judgment came, which now the judgment is upon us, like it's very near. Yes, I just had to confirm that does equal 20. And, you know, because I was his daughter, I just had the Two of Cups on the black and white side flip out on the floor. I just want you to know. So we see this beautiful dark-haired girl, too. I'm just saying it could also, you know, I am his daughter. It could also represent me being bound from him as well. But that makes sense, right? It's true. It's like him saying, I'm sorry, I was bound from you. I'm sorry, you know, I was stabbed in the back. I was betrayed. There was nothing I could do in this situation. You know, he died here. He was prevented in any way from interaction after that. And the Hanged Man is a long time of waiting, right? Like, I feel like I'm about to meet him again. I feel like it's going to be a reunion. I can't guarantee that, but I just feel that. That's why I was talking about if I ever got married, he could actually give me away and I would be with him. And I think it's been a really long time. I mean, he died when he was 42. I'm going to be 38 this year, so it's been a long Hanged Man situation. And it's interesting, if you look at this, we have the tree, right? And then we have the girl hanging from the tree. And that's really wicked, because I used to smoke, and I'm not even sure that he died of lung cancer from smoking, but it was just cancer in general. And I used to tell my mom, well, I'm going to smoke because if he died, I want to die. And so that became kind of a mentality I had, which there's nothing healthy or good about wanting to perish. That's why now we can place our blood over our intent and live forever. So please look up blood over intent if you ever listen to my readings or my videos and you want to see anything about that. So I feel the need to wrap it up really quickly. I saw the Page of Swords, and I would just like to know, out of all the cards in the tarot deck, if my dad could send me a message, what would he want me to know right now? So yeah, we have that essence of judgment. And it's interesting too, because they say Odin hung from the world tree, and this is like this girl, this woman, is hanging from her family tree. I find that correlation cool. Please show me one more message from my dad. Ooh, that is so sweet. Let's see what card's at the top as well. Okay. Oh, this is weird. I'm actually hearing things like, okay, I got the Four of Wands, and I'm going to take a picture of this. I got the Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands can be about a proposal. It could be about moving into a new home. It's like safety and security. So after these really heavy, hard feelings, the Hanged Man with the Eight of Cups, we're getting this abundance, this feeling of fulfillment and passion going forward with the community and things done right. It's almost like the tree completely died, and now it's like reborn, right? And it's protected by this other bush that's kind of like intertwined with it. The Four of Wands is a beautiful feeling. It's security, it's happiness, it's fun. It's like when there's this cookout or something you're having, but you're actually able to have a good time, let your hair down and be yourself. So this is like festivities, right? This can be all kinds of festivities regarding people and celebration. And then at the top of the deck we have the Queen of Wands. Now, the first thing I think of with the Queen of Wands is my sister Candace, because she has red hair, and I always had the hardest time with that, you know. To make a long, sad story short, my stepmother, a few years after my dad died, married a very wealthy man, millionaire. And so my sister Candace became rich because of that. And so she had a really fancy, like, rich people wedding. I mean, you can look at her Facebook and it's like flaunted everywhere, like the moolah, like lots of money wedding. And in seeing the Queen of Wands, what I hear him saying is like, you know, I wasn't forgotten. Because you see, we have this Four of Wands as like celebration. And so in the past, you know, we're seeing of the past essence here. The Queen of Wands, which is why I didn't understand, like, how nobody was acknowledging him. Nobody cared where I was. And they all went on, had celebrations, got married. They're all rich. They all do their own thing. And there I was still hanging from the tree, right? And he wasn't mentioned. There's nothing happening. No one's communicating. But, you know, so I always had questions about, like, how come she is, you know, she gets this husband and has this fancy wedding, and I've just been forgotten, you know. But this would be my dad saying, you know, you weren't forgotten. Just like you thought with Candace you were forgotten, you weren't forgotten, because your time is coming of celebration and happiness. And you could say, why would I have ever compared myself? Well, you know, I was born in the world, and then eventually I saw that I had a new little sister, and it confused me because I saw this little hat that said Daddy's number one daughter, and I was like, wait a minute, you can't wear that. I was his number one daughter. So basically, I want to say that, I mean, we're seeing the two daughters, right? The brown hair, the dark black haired daughter, and the red-headed daughter. And so it kind of goes with that. The first will be last and the last will be first, right? Because, see, there was no hope. For me, you know, I chose a life that may not have anything in the end, but if I could find true love, or the meaning of true love and everything, then it was worth it for me. I had to hold on to the honor of my father. I could have played into being fake and, you know, been my stepdad's daughter, but that wasn't integrity, that wasn't honor, right? So I hung from this tree with my dad. And, you know, the end result is, though, it's going to be resurrection, because like we saw with judgment, and it's like in the Bible it says, those who were made high will be made low, and those who are made low will be made high. And so all I can do is be thankful, you know, and keep having fun and doing my best. Because I can say, you know, I tilled the ground of integrity. Maybe I wasn't patient, but I tilled the ground of integrity for ever since he passed on. And even before that. And honor. And no one's going to take that from me. And then we're seeing that all this beauty and connection to community and fulfillment from that occurs. So that's really beautiful, and I'm really thankful. And I wish the best to my sister. I did go through extreme jealousy because, you know, she got to live with him. I didn't. I felt like I was forgotten by my dad when I had to go. I don't feel jealous now. I mean, but at the time I really didn't understand how come I felt forgotten, you know, because he was the only one I trusted. But, you know, my mom fought him tooth and nail, or whatever you want to say, to keep him from having me. So by the time I'd be around, you know, he's already had to move on with his life so much. So it wasn't Candace's fault. It wasn't my dad's fault. It was just circumstances. And, you know, all I could do was hold on, and certainly I did. But this Four of Wands is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see here. And I think this reading is it's sad and it's sweet and it's heavy. I don't really want to get any other cards. I don't think I could take anything else to do with it. And, you know, I have responsibility too. You know, I could have helped take care of my sister better, or this or that. But I was really lost, and I really feel like I had no control. And that's confirmed by the Hangman. And one thing I never understood about that sister of mine and my other sister, Sienna, is they never really wanted to contact me or communicate with me or have anything to do. And I always felt like that wasn't right, you know. And you can only try for so long to communicate with people that when they stop, you just have to let it go. At least that's what I've found. You have to continue in your own way, and if they want to be with you, if they want to talk to you, they'll come back. So I wish Candace well. You know, her beautiful soul, I do want to live forever. I want that for everyone. And, you know, no one's going to take from me that I honored my father. And no, I don't think that I've seen that from them. But I know deep in her heart she loves him. And rightly so. And I think that she had her time, and that now my time might come. And who can really say? You know, I wish her well no matter what. And I would never change places with anyone. And my relationship with my father really has nothing to do with anyone but me and him, you know? And because it's like the Bible, like, who is your mother? Who is your father? Who is your brother? You know, it's those that connect by their blood for eternity. And that's why it doesn't surprise me that my father was a Hell's Angel, because I'm like that. I'm blood thick. I don't fuck around. When my loyalty's to you, I don't fucking change that shit. And I don't forget about people, you know. And I may not be perfect, but that is my high character trait that I can be proud of, and I will be forever. So I would just like to thank the spirit of my father for being with me, for letting me know this information. Oh shit, and if you add this up, it equals 24, which is X. X marks the spot. So there's this essence of the Holy Grail, right? And even if you want to add the Queen as representing 1, that would be 25, which is Y, right? So we have the essence of X and Y, which is this union of the divine feminine and masculine. Reconfirmed by the Four of Wands too, because that's often like representative of a marriage regarding community being involved, which is a possibility, you know, at some point. But I don't, you know, this could be whispering of the future. And even if it's not, it's whispering of good fucking times, you know? Like, true wealth doesn't have to do with money, you know? True wealth has to do with honor. And flowers are real wealth. God, the herbs of the earth are true wealth, you know? But yeah, blood thick forever. And I adore and worship the soul of my father. I will cry so much to see him, and I know he will tell me to stop. But I need someone to give me a room in a minute so I can just hug my dad as much as I need to. And it's so beautiful to think of heaven. It didn't leave me, you know? Like, I really felt forsaken. I didn't think anything good would ever happen, and now I believe it can.